Hi, everybody. Welcome to Rachel's Reviews. This is our monthly animation podcast that we do. This month, it's really not all that obscure. We know it. We just felt like talking about it. But in honor of Christmas, we are talking about the Netflix film Klaus. I thought a lot about what we could talk about for December with animation, and we like to bring to the forefront a film that is lesser known, lesser praised, lesser seen, that we think maybe is a little underrated. That kind of a thing is what we try to do here once a month. And the problem is that for the most part, movies that are part of Christmas are pretty well loved and seen,
Yeah,
and
and yeah, really well known, and yeah,
yeah, so I don't think any of them are all that obscure. I mean, I thought about we could do like Prep and Landing, or maybe something like that.
yeah,
But I don't know. I felt like this fit because it is. I would say it's independent, at least,
yes,
in its production and everything, and I just really wanted to talk about it, so I thought, why not? And it would be fun to do. And we'd already done some of the other kind of obscure and holiday films. Last year we did the Nutcracker from Russia, and that was pretty fun.
yeah.
So I
And
just
we've done a
love,
Rankin Bass.
yeah,
I think you did that.
yeah.
Yeah,
We've done a lot of the ones that are a little more obscure, and I just wanted to do Klaus because I love it so much, and it was my favorite movie of 2019. And
yeah.
had you seen it before this?
Truth be told, no. But
Yeah, because you
I
didn't
mean,
have Netflix.
I didn't have Netflix, but I'm back on Netflix again, and I was so happy to watch this. I mean, it's one of the things I've wanted to see, partly because of your uh, praise of it,
Uh huh.
and then also it just received a lot of nominations for Annie Awards, and it was up wasn't it up for Best Animated Film
Yep.
too with the Oscars, and so I knew it was going to be worthy, and it is. I mean, and I'm with you. I mean, not that it's so much obscure, but I just hope people are going to rewatch it. I mean,
Yeah.
I think some animation fans probably they watched it last Christmas, and I hope everybody will watch it again, or that just talking about it will kindle interest in people to go watch it, because it's definitely worth it.
So you enjoyed it?
Oh, I loved it.
Yay.
Yeah, absolutely loved
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
Well, good. I'm so
beautiful
glad to
film.
hear. I just loved it so much. I love the animation. I love the heart in the story. I love the humor. I think it's so funny, and it had a depth to particularly the Klaus character that I wasn't
Yes,
expecting,
yes.
with his grief and his loss. And I love the way the movie uses light and colors, and it's just such a fun film.
Oh
And
yeah, I loved it.
what did you think of our sort of introduction to Jesper as a character? He's kind of spoiled. He was wanting the caviar, all that stuff. What did you
Yeah.
think of him?
Oh well, I thought that the setup was really great for Jesper, because, yeah, he's this spoiled kid who's expecting to stay that way, you know, and uh, the animation's great, and just the whole setup of, and I think we've seen this in a lot of characters before, but this though, I thought it still really just felt fresh, that
Hmm.
he had to he gets assigned to truly Timbuktu. I mean, right? Just the
Yeah.
middle of nowhere, and the complete opposite of his cushy life, where he's really going to have to work. He's really going to have to dig deep, and so again, that's kind of classic, you know, screenplay structure for a character who is pretty spoiled, right?
Hmm.
Gets put in a situation where they're either gonna figure it out or they're gonna really fail miserably. But still though, even though he's very spoiled and very privileged, there's still something about him that's likable, and I think it's because the animation's so good. And Jason Schwartzman's, vocal performance is terrific too.
Did you think that it had some inspiration from Emperor's New Groove?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can
That's
see
what
a
it
lot.
reminded me of.
Yeah, definitely Emperor's New Groove, but also even just stuff like, I think of like Overboard with Goldie Hawn. I mean, I know that's different. I mean, romantic comedy is a thing, but still, though, where you take this very spoiled person and then they get plopped in this situation they got to deal with, but I agree with you. Lots of Emperor's New Groove.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought even the character design kind of reminded me a little bit of Emperor's New Groove.
Yeah.
And I think that his voice sounds very David Spade-ish to me.
I know.
I would almost think it was him at first.
Yeah, exactly. It really comes across as that. Yeah, for sure.
So this film was directed by Sergio Pablos, and I just think in so many ways he brought his style and flair to this film. You can see his kind of Disney background in a lot of ways. He was an animator for films like Goofy Movie, Hunchback of Notre Dame. He did the character design for Frollo. Yeah. Tarzan.
Yeah.
And Treasure Planet. Despicable Me. He worked on the story there for that. And so he kind of brought all of his experiences, I think, to work in this film, and he did practically it all. He's the director, producer, writer, storyboard artist, and he voiced 2 characters.
Yeah, I mean, talk about amazing labor, labor as well as a labor of love, but also it's like a labor of quality. And you can see, I just felt like this movie it was made by someone who just knows how to do it.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I mean, I hate to even make this comparison, but I'm going to anyway. And I don't think you and I have talked about this much, but I adore Glenn Keane. And in fact, I kind of worship him.
Yeah.
But I thought Over the Moon had some real problems.
Yeah, I know you weren't a big fan.
And not a big fan, but I didn't feel like, and again, maybe it's not a fair comparison, but this just felt so different to me, and I just attribute it all to Sergio.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I'm sure that it is. I mean, it's every animated film is definitely a team effort, but he was the one guiding the ship, and I just have just nothing but respect for his work.
It really, I mean, it has it all. It's funny, it's sweet, it's beautiful, and it's also a Christmas movie, which is just so appealing.
Yeah, it's a Christmas movie.
Yeah, I mean, there's such a rich cinematic history and animation for Christmas movies, for this kind of sort of fable-like story, and so it really works as a holiday film. It makes it even more special.
Yeah, it does. I was immediately taken with the production, design, and art direction, because clearly they were using computers, yet it was in such a fresh style, and I just love it when they can just take advantage of the medium, that they're not necessarily trying to make it look. I mean, it's a place we can relate to, but it felt fanciful.
Mm-hmm.
And exaggerated, but that is what made it appealing. Mm-hmm. Instead of trying to make it look super realistic or something. And the character designs were so good too, because they were, and I mean this as a compliment. They were really cartoony. Just given the townspeople and Jesper, and not to mention Klaus. Everybody. Didn't just look the same. They all had interesting shaped faces, and their movement was all unique, and just all the stuff I love about animation, was there, but just done incredibly well.
Yeah, Well, and the way the movie uses lighting in particular, and they had to
Yes.
have a actual proprietary what's wrong with me? Long day. Propri- Proprietary tools that helped with the lighting that they had there from a French company that they were able to make the 2D animation look more unique and fresh, and it's some of the limitations of traditional animation that they were able to make it more dynamic and move and flow. And just as the story grows, the more that the people start to read and write letters, and there's these divisions between them are starting to thaw, the more light that we
Yeah, the more
get.
light comes in. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
great, and it's sort of the more colors that you start to see. It's just
Mm-hmm.
everything is starting to come alive,
Mm-hmm.
which I love,
Me too.
and I think it's done so well. And I just think the script is really solid. I think
Me
little
too.
things like when he's arguing with himself over things, and it's like, what is that? What do you mean? I think it's funny. I think little set pieces like when they have him ring the bell,
Yeah.
that's really funny, and the people
Yeah.
all come and are fighting. You have this classic sort of dynamic of a fable of this town where the people have forgotten to be kind to each other, and they're just warring, these two families warring with each other. And what did you think of Alva as a character?
I was a good character,
Yeah.
you know. Uh, um, uh, kind of the classic ringleader of the villains, you know. Oh no, I'm thinking of she's the school teacher, right?
Yeah, the school
I'm
teacher,
thinking
yeah.
about the Joan Cusack character. My
Oh
bad.
yeah, yeah, she was good
We'll get
too.
there. You're
Yeah.
probably like, Stan, what are you talking about? No, oh, I thought she was a great character because I just liked. She's voiced by Rashida Jones,
Yeah.
and I just like uh, her character arc a lot
Yeah.
because when you first meet her, I mean, just think, imagine what a like impossible situation she's in. You know, to
Yeah.
be the school teacher in this town where there's just these two warring factors. They hate each other, and oh, it's just all. I mean, as you were talking about, the lighting is so good when you meet her because her classroom is so dark, you know, and it's because I think she's not able to really to be herself, and also there's just all this horrible stuff going on. What's your take on her? I mean, I hope I'm
Yeah.
doing her justice.
I
Here I am
agree.
to say
And
the wrong name.
it's really funny with with her becoming this fishmonger. She's like, get out of here. And which is the comparison with which is a really fun dynamic with her and Jesper, who's very cocky and
Yes.
everything like that.
Yeah.
And so that works, and she starts to kind of calm, and as she starts to get her calling back
Yeah.
with the kids, and and centuries of hatred passed for generations.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so Jesper, he has to deliver 6,000 letters in order for him to keep his fortune. And so he decides that he is going to try to get the kids to start writing. And he visits this toy maker Klaus, and he convinced him to deliver a toy to this needy kid. And as they keep going, they do more and more and more deliveries. And Klaus kind of has this sort of secret past. We don't really know what is happening at first, why he's behaving the way he is. But then, of course, it comes to we come to find out that his wife has passed away, and that he had made all the toys for their children that they were going to have. Then they never had any children, so it's very sad.
Yeah.
And so Yeah, Jesper starts out with all these selfless motivations of he's doing all this just to get the letters written. But the more that he becomes invested in these people, the more the better person he becomes.
Yeah, isn't that great? See, because
Mm-hmm.
again, I just think the character arcs are for every character are really good. For the main characters, I also love in this how this change in the town's attitude. Even though Jesper is the one who kind of starts it, but it really comes from the kids.
Yeah.
Because the kids find out that if they send a letter, which helps Jesper, because he's trying to get his numbers up, right?
Yeah.
But if they send a letter to Klaus, or to this figure, that they'll get a toy. So they and then it's just fun how the whole Santa all the fun Santa mythology gets put in here, but it's just done with such a delicate and just a well-defined approach. That's not just, let's just throw this in here. It all just totally works. I thought,
Yeah.
Again, kudos for such a good script.
I love how the myth of Klaus grows, the mythology of Santa Claus.
Me too. I just love it.
You see that he gets the red coat from the Margot and the kind of the migrants that are around the town, and you see that's where he gets his red coat. You see how he gets the reindeer pulling the sleigh.
Yeah. And how the sleigh, becomes a sleigh instead of a wagon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you get how he's the myth of him flying, just all of that stuff all gets established. And so it's really fun as you're seeing the characters grow in the story. You're also seeing all of these sort of Easter eggs to our Christmas.
To our Christmas, yeah. How the kids, being incentivized to be, nice versus naughty.
Yes.
So, I love how that.
Don't
how
put
that
me on
got
the naughty list.
That was a fun way to approach that.
As they try to not be on the naughty list, they start serving each other, and those divisions that had been up for so long are starting to go down. And that kind of upsets the people that get power.
Much to the chagrin of who I was sorry again about the name error. Mrs. Crumb, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
Who's voiced by Joan Cusack, who's perfect.
Mm-hmm. The Ellie Bows versus the Crumbs.
Yeah.
Yeah. You really see the power of education, of writing, of reading in this film. And like we said, as they write more, as they read more, as they come together in education, they start to get everything feels lighter and brighter and better, happier. And they start to let down those barriers that have been up for generations.
Yeah.
And the kids write their good deeds down to Santa, and they get more and more letters. And we also hear Jesper telling one of the kids that he knows, he sees everything. He's keeping a list, checking it twice. It's just so fun.
It's so fun, though. It just totally works.
Mm-hmm. And so then you have the main theme of the movie is a truly selfless act always sparks another, which is a really lovely message, of course.
Yeah, I think so too.
Mm-hmm.
And they stay true to it in a good, in a good way, because that's what happens with everybody, because Jesper has to figure quite a bit of stuff out, and he does, and that's just so nice to see. That he figures it out.
Well, and it even causes these contentious people in town to form a truce to go against Jesper and Klaus. And when he says that we must form together in peace to stop this peace. Because they benefit from this contention. And how true is that to modern day, where these people they want to troll. They want to cause anger and contention, and because it's profitable.
Yeah. One of the things I really love about this movie too, Rachel, is that it doesn't, it just doesn't rely on potty humor for its laughs.
Yeah.
And uh, but it's still very funny, when it's that when it wants to be, and uh, I just love that because I just feel like it just doesn't fall. I just think in with some different filmmakers, it might have gone a really different route.
Yeah, and it would be trying too hard to minionize the
Yeah,
little kids or something like that, or give
yeah,
like some side reindeers or something like that, making snide jokes. And
right.
I mean, thank goodness it
And
doesn't do
fart
that.
jokes, excuse me,
Yeah.
and all that stuff. Where
Hmm.
it's just not part of this movie, and that's all
Yeah.
good.
So Jesper says to Klaus, we should make more toys. We should make this a bigger thing. And he is against it. But he starts, but Klaus is against it. And so Jesper starts to do it on his own. And it's a disaster. He cannot
Yeah,
make a sleigh to save his
yeah.
life. But he's trying, and that's
He's
what's
trying,
important.
but
It's
not happening.
yeah. And so he's working on it for little Margot. What do you think of Margot, the little
Oh,
girl?
she's adorable.
So cute.
She's so cute. And
Hmm.
again, that could have gone like, she's a minion, or I mean,
Yeah.
that kind of approach. But oh, she's adorable.
Yeah.
And I know that's what they were trying to do, and I thought they were successful.
Hmm.
Yeah.
One
What did you think?
little. Oh, I love it. I think she's so cute. One little nitpick that I don't love in this movie is I wasn't the biggest fan of the soundtrack
See,
choices.
okay, I am so glad you mentioned that because I don't want to come across as just some, Anyway, I didn't love their choices either. In fact, they were just a tad jarring.
Hmm.
Uh, and I know that that's just part of the genre is that you got to put in a pop song during a montage or something. It's just how it rolls. I just know how it works. I just didn't like the choices that they
Yeah.
made.
I think that their foreign choices, like I'm looking at one of the song "Invisible" is by a Swedish singer,
Hmm.
and I think maybe that's maybe part of it is that it uh, feels European, maybe,
Yeah,
and that like there's a point where there's like a rap song, which just feels
yeah.
weird.
It's a little weird. It didn't seem cohesive. And I mean, I wouldn't want them to put like some classical song in there or, something else, but I just thought, I don't know, and maybe I just didn't like the vocals.
Uh huh.
Uh, but yeah, like the rap song, it didn't work for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Agreed.
That's probably and it's not like I've lost sleep over it or anything, but I wish they had some different music for
Yeah.
sure.
So Claus ends up helping him, and this sleigh is so cute with Margot and her sleigh. It's adorable.
Yeah, yeah,
And so then they see his letters that he has on his board, and they start to kind of be upset, the townspeople. And this is when Claus tells Jesper about Lydia, his wife,
yeah.
and that they couldn't have kids, and that she got sick, and I think that a lot of the scenes with Klaus, the characters, because he is so big, the
Yeah.
perspective of the camera in those scenes is like they are looking up at him the whole time,
Hmm.
which I thought
Hmm.
was kind of an interesting perspective. I mean, you really almost
Yes.
feel like a child
Yeah.
looking up
I thought that
at
was an
him.
interesting choice too, but he just is larger than life, almost again like the Santa myth. But I agree.
So Margot and her people end up helping Klaus to build the toys.
Yeah, I feel like the elves.
Yeah, they're the elves, which is really fun. That's when they give him the red outfit,
Yeah.
and he agrees to help with Christmas. and it's just really fun. And then we also see the relationship between Jespers and Alva is
Yeah,
growing.
it's growing.
They're kind of cuddling and cute and
Yeah.
everything, and so that's fun. And then we then Jesper's dad shows up because the townspeople had sent out all these letters. So
Yeah.
he thinks, "Wow, you've done an incredible job." And uh,
So the townspeople are trying to run him out,
mhm,
right? Yeah.
yeah, and that's what we're reminded of, that a true act of goodwill starts another. And there's 14K letters written, and when he's leaving, his dad says, the boatman says, never saw a postman more miserable leaving than when they come.
Yeah.
So most of them are happy to get out of there. And I thought it was just really cute when Margot comes to say goodbye, and Jesper says, cheer up, little one. I might have missed my boat. So cute.
Yeah.
That was great. And so the clans are coming after Klaus, and it almost reminded me of in Beauty and the Beast in some of these
Oh yeah.
sequences. The
Absolutely.
townspeople.
The townspeople are are ticked off, and they're storming storming the barn, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
They
Yeah.
say the town was built on resentment and hate, but a true act of goodwill always sparks another. And we find the president ends up going over the cliff, but it turns out it was a decoy. It was just wood and things like that.
Yeah, firewood and stuff. That yeah.
Yeah. So Christmas is saved.
Yay.
Yay. And the kids get their presents. And we find out that he's going to expand the operation, and there are going to be Christmas centers all over the world. And so that's how we get Santa Claus. And on what did you think of the ending of the movie?
You know, I liked it. I mean,
Yeah.
it just all really worked for me. What did you think about
I
it?
love it, but I'm a very spiritual person. I did see, as you are, I did see online some people were kind of baffled by the ending, but I think you kind of have to look at it through spiritual
I
eyes.
do too. I do too. And maybe that's just why I liked it. I just found that part really satisfying, just like
Yeah.
and a really meaningful way to end it, because at its core, I mean, sure they're talking about the Santa Claus myth and whatever, but it is a spiritual story.
Hmm.
These people all go through, these characters all go through really meaningful, um, in a way, transformation. I mean,
Yeah.
Klaus is able to get over his grief and find a new
Forgiveness.
purpose. Jesper becomes less of a selfish twit, less of,
Yeah.
like Cusco, like he has to do, as you were talking about in the Emperor's New Groove. But
Hmm.
Alva's is able to be herself. And anyway,
Yeah. I liked it that he goes on the 12th year. He goes back to be with his Lily, and once a year, I get to see my friend, which
yeah,
I thought was just so touching and
I
lovely.
loved it, and it was handled in such a beautiful way too, because again, not heavy-handed, not
Preachy at all.
not preachy. It was all done. It was beautifully done. I thought I
Hmm.
love those wind chimes.
Yeah.
Or I guess they're like little birdhouses, right? But they whistle in the wind,
Hmm.
right? Isn't it? Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, am I just saying that right,
Yeah, I
Rachel?
think
Like,
so. Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah, but
Because that's what he builds. Claus builds is the
mm,
is the bird houses at the beginning,
yeah,
and so he has to be back, and that's just such a Christmassy message of uh, of cherishing our loved ones and showing
hmm
them how much we care, and giving gifts at Christmas, and remembering those that have passed on. And
well,
so,
yeah, and this kind of neat afterlife
yeah,
thing, theme with it that I thought really worked.
yeah, me too. So I love the film. I think it is beautiful. I think that it is fresh and new and inventive. I love the story and the characters, It's funny. It's sweet. It's touching. It's about Christmas. What more could you ask for? Not much, in my opinion. And so it's still my favorite of last year. It's definitely going to be one I'm going to watch every year.
Yeah, it's
So
great to have another film to add into the holiday repertory,
yeah,
you know. It's terrific, yeah.
definitely. So there we go. Let us know what you think of Klaus. Do you like it, or maybe you think it's overrated? Put in the comment section. We'd love to hear your thoughts, or on Twitter. And let us know if you have any suggestions for our indie animation series that we do every month. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And Stanford, where can people find you?
On Twitter, I'm at Stanford Clark, and I have a movie blog and podcast at moviespastandpresent.com.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. And make sure that you check out the Hallmarkies podcast. We are covering all things Christmas. So if you like Christmas coverage like Klaus, then definitely check out over there. We're covering all things Netflix, Lifetime. We got interviews, lots of really good stuff. So
You're doing it all, Rachel. It's
take
amazing.
a look at that. Take a look at that. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. It really helps us out a lot. And if you are listening on YouTube, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. We appreciate that. We also have our patron group, which is so important and so helpful. So please take a look at that. And we have our merch store, which has hashtag Animation Junkie shirts. So you definitely want to get that if you are an animation fan. And all that information is in the description section. So thanks so much. It was such a fun thing to get to talk about this movie that I love. I really appreciate it. And yeah, we'll be excited to do a whole nother year of obscure animation.
That's right. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.